Welcome back to Supplement Monday. Today we're talking about the most researched, most effective, and most misunderstood supplement in the fitness world, also known as creatine. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I did a video on this on Instagram as a live. It was earlier on. It wasn't as concise and organized, so I wanted to redo this for you guys. So we're going to talk a lot about it. So we're going to answer some questions here. So is it just for bodybuilders? Will it make you bloated? Does it cause hair loss? I personally have never heard that, but apparently that is a concern. We're smashing the myths and we're diving deep into the science. Here's what you're learning today: what creatine actually is and the different types, how it works in your body. It's not just for your muscles. Oh my gosh. The research about how it helps the brain has been wild, and it's really kind of coming of age, really. I'm really glad people are finding out about it, but I'm really excited to talk about that. So we're going to talk about the performance and cognitive benefits, and that is kind of what I'm referencing when it comes to the brain studies that are coming out. And we're going to talk about myths versus reality, so the truth about bloating that you hear about and the truth about hair loss. Again, that was something that was brought up in my research as a common concern for people, and honestly, I had never heard of it before I kind of dove deep into this. So we're going to talk about it, but wild that this is even out there. And then we're going to talk about dosing protocols, and then we're going to research, we're going to really dive deep into the research, and we're going to talk about some of the studies that came up with this information. Okay, so let's get into it. First and foremost, we're going to talk about what is creatine. It's not a steroid. It's not some synthetic lab creation. It's actually a naturally occurring compound found in muscle cells and in foods like red meat and fish. Your body uses it to produce energy during heavy lifting or high intensity exercises. Supplementing just tops off your natural stores. And particularly if you're training at a high volume and a high intensity regularly, those stores will get depleted over time. So supplementing with creatine helps keep them up so you can still train and make gains on a regular basis. The most common and researched form is creatine monohydrate, and that's what you're going to see in most places. But you've also got creatine hydrochloride, you've got creatine nitrate, and you've got buffered creatine. Creatine hydrochloride is claimed to be more soluble and produce less bloating. I religiously use creatine. It's something I use in pretty much every day that I train. And I don't feel like I experience a lot of bloating, but I know that is wildly different for some people. So that is a real thing. Creatine nitrate does more with the nitric oxide system. So you're talking about like vein popping, we're talking about oxygenation. Often people will refer to, oh yeah, I got a great pump. That is what they're talking about. And creatine nitrate kind of binds to that nitrate molecule that helps that happen. Move you away a little bit. Okay, and then buffered creatine, like prealkaline, is just changed a little bit to pare it down and make it a little bit easier to absorb. But we are going to talk a little bit more about that, and we're going to talk about which one is the best, and honestly, that's going to be dependent on you, as you kind of find in all of my videos. So now we're going to talk about how it works in the body. Here is the simple science. The body's energy currency is called ATP, and I know we've touched on that in some other videos, and it is very relevant in the life of an adult athlete, in supplementation, and in diet. And so we're going to talk about it a lot. You have about 10 to 15 seconds of ATP stored for max effort. When that runs out, you fatigue, and that is when you feel that buildup, that burn, and honestly, like your muscles can't go anymore. Creatine binds with a phosphate in your body to form phosphocreatine. Phosphocreatine donates its phosphate to recycle ATP, giving you more energy for those reps, more sprint power, and faster recovery between sets. So this would be a good time for me to insert a video that would demonstrate this. I'm not good enough at my YouTube editing to do that yet, but maybe later. But essentially, you have creatine comes in, there are phosphate molecules. They bind, they make phosphocreatine. Phosphocreatine then, throughout the processes of creating energy, donates a phosphate to recycle ATP, which is known as adenosine triphosphate, meaning that it has 3 phosphates. So there's also diphosphate in the system, and a phosphate goes, and then it goes on, and it's ADP, and it's kind of in the process of energy production. But what you need to pay attention to is that with creatine phosphate, it donates a phosphate to recycle ATP, so ADP, making it ATP again, and it gives you an extra ATP currency. It gives you more energy for extra reps, more sprint power, and faster recovery between sets, as we touched on before. But with that, you're able to get more done during your training session or sessions, and then you're able to do more performance-wise on game day, because that extra rep over 50 extra sessions adds up to 50 extra reps and more gains. So something to consider. But knowing all of that, it is not just for muscles. Your brain also uses a ton of ATP. More creatine equals better brain energy equals improved cognitive function. That's right, brain gains. So no matter who you are, if you are alive and kicking, you have a brain. Some work better than others, but no matter what, creatine supplementation can help you because you have a brain. Okay, so now we're going to talk about performance and cognitive benefits. Okay, so let's talk about what the research says. And bottom line is that it says a lot. Okay, you see, for performance, creatine offers increased strength and power output. The study that we're talking about is Cooper et al., 2012. Improved sprint performance. Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition in 2017 holds the study that shows this. Faster recovery between bouts of exercise was also included in that study that I just mentioned. For the brain, enhanced short-term memory and cognitive function were present, particularly in this study done by Psychopharmacology in 2003, but you can find it in numerous studies, so it's not just that one. And then and then potential neuroprotective benefits and reduced mental fatigue. It is a powerhouse for your body and your mind. That neuroprotective benefit is also, you can see that in that same study I mentioned before in the Psychopharmacology journal in 2003. So now we're going to talk about myths versus reality, because apparently there's a lot of myths out there that I really am not aware of. I've been in the fitness space for 20 years, so I don't exist much outside of that. So the different thoughts and the different myths that run around, you don't hear them as much because people are more, it's something that they hear about, it's something that you grow up with, it's something that you hear a lot. So it's not kind of an ambiguous thing out there. So I don't hear these myths as often, but these are some things that did pop up in my research. Apollo, my dog. Okay, so time to bust some myths. 1 myth: creatine causes kidney damage. Reality: false. Over 50 studies show no harm to healthy kidneys. And you can find one of these studies in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition in 2017, which proves this without a doubt. Apollo. Okay, so creatine causes bloating and water weight. Reality: mostly false. Okay, so this one is actually real, but it's not a super negative. So this is often due to the loading phase or poor quality creatine. Monohydrate is proven to be effective without significant bloating for most. There is some water retention, but you can also see water retention if you work out to the point when your muscles become very, very sore. You will retain a lot of water to help with the repair process. So your body retaining water is not a wild thing, and it is not a negative thing all of the time. It can be often related to training intensely and performance. So it's not something to panic about, but I do know that creatine can help your body retain a little bit more water, particularly after bouts of heavy sweating and soreness. Okay, this myth, this popped up very frequently, so apparently it's a thing, it's something. And I am nearly 40 and I have never heard this, not once. But let's talk about it, because apparently it's a question out there, and if you Google it, it does pop up. Okay, so creatine causes hair loss. Largely debunked. This myth is based on a single flawed study linking creatine to a slight increase in DHT. Overwhelming evidence shows it's safe for hair. The Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition in 2021 is the study where you can find this information, but there are more studies that prove it wrong. Okay, so research and dosing protocol. Okay, so a lot of people don't really know how to take it. That is very daunting for them. There are wide different recommendations, but here we're going to go through it. Okay, so let's talk about the dosing and how this works. One, the loading phase. This is optional. You do not have to do this. This is for your people who are training consistently, lifting consistently. Strength is a very key factor in what they want to see performance-wise, and they really want to build up ATP to get through heavy, high-volume, high-intensity training cycles. And we're going to look at 20 grams per day, split into 4 5-gram doses. You want to do this for 5 to 7 days to saturate the muscles quickly. So again, that's 20 grams per day for 5 to 7 days, but you are going to break that up into 4 5-gram doses. The standard protocol, which is easier, you're just going to take 3 to 5 grams every day, every single day. Rest day, workout day, every single day. It will saturate your muscles in about 3 to 4 weeks. You're going to notice a gradual difference than you would with the saturation, with a loading phase. And it's not, you're going to notice that you're going to have more explosivity in workouts, and you're going to notice that you might make some initial strength gains a little bit faster than you would normally. But honestly, if you have a really sensitive stomach, you might notice a difference with the loading phase. But 3 to 5 grams is pretty much good for everybody. The golden rule: take it with a carbohydrate-rich meal or post-workout shake to enhance uptake, and drink plenty of water. We talked about a little bit of water retention. Again, largely a myth. It's not something significant. Like, somebody else might not notice it. You may notice it, but water is really good no matter what. So increased muscle function is also does need to be tied with increased water intake. So which type should you take? We did touch on some of those in the beginning, but stick with creatine monohydrate. That is the most common one. You can find it anywhere. It is very inexpensive, and it's tasteless, so you can just throw it in literally anything. It's the most researched, most effective, and the cheapest form. Do not fall for fancy marketing. You're not going to get anything crazy with anything else. Okay, so there it all is. That is basic, actual information for you. It tells you all about how creatine is safe, effective, and one of the few supplements truly, deeply, to the granule that you take, it is worth your money. Key takeaways. Take 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate daily. It boosts strength, muscle, and brain power. And the myths are not anything to really address as far as like why you shouldn't take it. They have been largely busted, largely debunked. There are a few things in there that have a kernel of truth, but the pros vastly outweigh whatever minuscule con that you've seen. So, what is your experience with creatine? For those of you who have taken it, do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you still scared of it? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it. I always get fascinated by people who this isn't like a regular thing. It's not something they experience on a regular basis. They don't always see people taking it. I love to hear from them. I love to hear that perspective that I really honestly have just never experienced myself. If you want to have some recommendations based on what I like product-wise, again, you can't go wrong with pretty much any of them. But if you would like to see my recommendations, I'm going to put them in the description box below. So you can just click the link, get to the product. It is going to be in Amazon, so you can get it with whatever cool delivery you can get from Amazon, and it'll be really easy to get. But they will be ones that I use, and yeah, they'll be pretty inexpensive. But I always try to recommend third-party tested products. So if you, in any of these Supplement Monday videos and my recommendations for the product, just to make it easy for you to find, they are always going to be third-party tested. So they are tested for purity and functionality, and to make sure they're not mixed with other things like allergens or some sort of product that is not legal, which actually can happen. So I am so glad that you have come to watch this video. I love talking to you guys. I love science and I love educating you. And I am very excited to see you again next week. So go ahead and you can always check in the playlist. There are some more videos of products. Again, I'm going to go through the products that I've already done, so you're going to see all of those videos. But again, thank you so much. I love doing this, and it's my way to help you for free without any monetary investment on your end. And I can still help you and guide you and give you information that will help make you a better adult athlete. All right, thank you so much. I will see you next Monday for Supplement Monday, and we'll be talking about a new supplement that you can use and make yourself better. All right, thank you so much, guys. Bye.